Hi, everyone. Thank you for being still here, awake, alive, real. And hi to those who are also watching remotely. I'm truly impressed by the highly smart talks that I've had the chance to see so far. All the more impressed that I've been reminded yesterday by Facebook of my own lack of smartness. You know, those throwback pictures from 10 years ago that look a bit awkward now and you forgot to untag yourself from. Well, on this one, I was playing the egg game. You know it? No, it's not an official name, actually. It's just how we used to call it. So I was playing the egg game with a friend, and it's quite dumb. You take an egg, make sure it's expired, of course. You don't want to play with food. And you just throw it gently at each other. And every time you throw a pass to your friend, you take a step back. Until at some point, you end up so far away from each other that obviously the egg will break in your hands or in your friend's hands. This is silly, isn't it? So let me check. Yes, I brought one just to show you. You wanna someone? It's you just catch it.
But is this good or not?
No. Otherwise, there's no game.
But let me put my glasses on. I'm waiting, huh?
No, don't worry. Actually, you really want the egg?
Well, you try to.
Okay. Are you ready?
No.
Do you have an insurance or? No, actually, don't worry. I will not throw it. Actually, I'm sorry. I was cheating. I was cheating. This one. Exactly. Oh, you're pregnant. So. I didn't. Congratulations. So no, I said I was cheating because this one is fake. Or is it real? Maybe you'll figure it out if it's real or fake at the end of the presentation. Anyway, let's stop with human stupidity, my own human stupidity, not yours, of course, and start talking about artificial intelligence. And to be precise, about AI creativity. So the first question is, can AI be creative? And let's hear what a great mathematician, Marcus du Sautoy, has to say about it.
With the extraordinary advances of AI that we've seen over the last few years, I think many of us are beginning to wonder what the jobs of the future will look like. Will machines be our doctors, our lawyers, our accountants, our drivers? But surely there's one thing that machines will never be able to do: creativity. After all, isn't our creativity an expression of what it means to be human? A few years ago, I saw something which really shocked me: creativity by a piece of code. This was in the context of a game, the ancient Chinese game of Go. This is played on a 19 by 19 grid, and players put down white and black stones on the grid. And you win the game if you can surround more of your opponent's territory than they have of yours. Traditionally, this game has been one that has been very hard to write code to play at any high level at all. The game involves a lot of creativity, intuition, a certain amount of pattern recognition of the stones as they build up on the board. And Go players find it very hard to articulate why they're making particular moves, which means it's very hard to translate that into code. Code in the past was written in a very top-down manner. You told the machine, if this, then do that, if that, then do this. You really had to understand how you were playing the game in order to be able to write the code. But over the last few years, there's been a real phase change in the way that we've been writing code. Code now is being written in a very bottom-up manner. So the code is allowed to learn. It can change itself, mutate, and become something new through its learning process. So every time it fails to win a game, it understands what could I have done better in order to win the game the next time I see this particular situation. And so a company in London, DeepMind, decided to use this approach to train a piece of code to try and play the game of Go. They took a lot of human games and the code learned on those games and then very quickly ran out, and so it started creating its own synthetic games. It started playing different versions of itself and then choosing the version that was winning the game more often. And in this way, DeepMind felt that they were able to produce a piece of code that could challenge the world's best human at this game, who was a Korean player called Lee Sedol. Lee Sedol was totally dismissive of a piece of code that could play at his level, but he was deeply shocked when he lost the match 4-1. And he in fact regards the one game that he did win against AlphaGo as his most valuable of his whole career. I suppose we shouldn't be so surprised at computers playing games at such a high level. After all, Garry Kasparov lost to a computer at the game of chess in the 90s. But for me, the really interesting thing is what happened in the second game of this match. Lee Sedol had played the 36th move and had laid a white stone down on the board, and he was already feeling rather exhausted, so he went to the top of the hotel in Seoul where they were playing for a cigarette break. We humans still need a bit of nicotine in order to stimulate our creative juices. AlphaGo sat there for some time and then asked the human player to place a black stone on the 5th row in from the edge. Interestingly, we still need humans to be able to pick up the stones and place them on the board. I was watching these games obsessively on YouTube, and I remember the gasp of the commentators when this move was made. Because traditionally, early on in the game, competition is for the outer edge of the board, and it's regarded as a very weak move to play 5 rows or deeper into the board. So the commentators at this point were very excited and said, well, Lee Sedol should be able to win the game from this point on. And when Lee Sedol comes back down from the cigarette break that he had and he sees this black stone on the 5th row in from the edge, you can see the shock on his face. But he's a little bit more suspicious. He's already lost the first game, and he thinks for some time about why the computer has made a seemingly such a weak move. The game continues on, and towards the end of the game, there's competition for territory building up from the bottom right-hand corner. And it turns out the person who controls this territory is the one who's played that black stone down on the 37th move very early on in the game. AlphaGo controls that whole piece of territory and wins the game. For me, this is an example of a highly creative move made by a piece of code. There's a useful working definition of what we should mean by creativity made by Margaret Bowden, a cognitive scientist. She said we should regard something as creative if it is new, surprising, and has value. Well, this move 37 was certainly a new sort of move. It was surprising because all the commentators gasped when it was made, and ultimately it had value because it won AlphaGo the game. So I think that we should regard this as a creative move made by the code. And this is a creative move made by the code and not the humans who coded it. Because if any human had seen that line of code play on the 5th row in from the edge, they probably would have removed it, regarding it as a very weak move. So this line of code appeared because of the learning process of the code and was not programmed in by a human. A human would have deleted the line and regarded it as a weak move. So I think this is a really exciting moment in artificial intelligence. This is a moment when code does something creative, not the coder. And it set me off on a journey to explore, well, where else can code be creative? Could it write a great novel, compose a symphony, or paint a masterpiece? The story of AlphaGo set me off on the journey which culminated in the publication of my book, The Creativity Code, to see where else could code be creative.
Thanks, Marcus, for this introduction. In definition of creativity, also, it was important for everyone to have that theoretical view also. So he's asking where else could machines be creative? So I'm going to give you a few examples. All of these faces were created by AI. None of them, so they look quite real, quite realistic, but none of them, none of these persons actually exist. Same for the cars. These cars, you would never find them in the streets. Same here for these Airbnbs, these rentals, all created by AI. And of course, cats, the most important thing on the internet. So here you can see some weird cats. So you can tell that it has been made by some intelligent or unfinished intelligence, I would say. It's not only static, you can also have it in motion and animation. So here you can see an AI that is trained to learn to walk by itself. So it's as if you had made a baby and he's trying to find his way. Maybe a way to create new video games. Animated portraits also. So Mona Lisa, the David statue from Michelangelo, the girl with the pearl earring from Johannes Vermeer. And is it a new way maybe to experience painting in a museum? I don't know. To appreciate it at least. And here, talking about art, this is a painting called Edmond de Bellamy, created by an AI also. It has been fed by 15,000 old paintings of portraits. And out of this, at the end, it generated this one. So the question is it art? Can we call it art? It has been sold over $400,000. So I guess it's art. Do you recognize the Scream, Edvard Munch? Let's play a bit. Which one is made by an artificial intelligence? Yeah, you know? Yeah, of course. But still, I mean, one cannot deny that it's creative. But the original ones, the 5 variations of the Scream, you can see them. And it's Darknet 4, which is an algorithm used usually for satellite imagery, and they used it to create this one. Now, so our dear chairwoman introduced me with my passion about music. So let's go to music and listen to some great music. Does it ring a bell or not at all? Actually, it's an extract from Beethoven's 10th Symphony, which is called the Unfinished Symphony, because he died before he could finish it. And so it has been actually finished by an AI 194 years after his death, after the composer's death, by a mixed team of computer scientists, musicians, musicologists. And Dr. Ahmed El Gamal, who's a professor at the Department of Computer Science at Rutgers University, Rutgers, forgive my bad German accent, and the lead computer scientist on the artificial intelligence project. And he explains that they had to use all the notes of all the completed compositions of Beethoven, entire body of work, to train the model so that it can create something that Beethoven himself might have written. So it's crazy, and it was a tremendous challenge to take short phrases and then expand them, just a small motif, and then use it to develop a longer, more complicated musical structure, like actually Beethoven is doing. So I don't know if you've heard, but the premiere of this 10th symphony was played, or should have been played, I did not check, on the 9th of October in Bonn, in the Telecom Forum in Bonn, which is Beethoven's birthplace. And there's a nice full article if you want to go further in this. And so on a lower level, there's also a AI Song Festival that took place in 2020 or 2021, and Australia won it. So they're happy they can win at least something. But and I listened to the song, and it's actually crap. But still, it's interesting to see that it really looks real. It really looks like a real song. Style transfer. So the movie 1937 movie of Pablo Picasso, the birds on a glass, and you transfer all other masters' style on this movie, and it gives interesting arts also. Same here with Van Gogh. And you can even turn a horse into a zebra or a human zebra if you want. You want to see the human zebra, maybe more. You can also turn seasons, so from winter to summer, from day to night. Also very useful if you want to immerse in other environments, or train, for example, a self-driving car on other environments. Colorization in another application, very interesting application, because you know how hard it is as the work process of colorizing frame by frame a black and white movie like this one, The Idol Class of Charlie Chaplin, and here just on the fly you can colorize this movie. And so you might ask or might wonder, okay, nice, it's fun, but what's in it for me? What's the relation with my business? Or how can this apply to my business in terms of creativity? Well, here you have examples in the fashion industry where these models or the designs of the handbags were created by AI, and even all the clothes were created by AI, the models themselves. So the question is, do we still need real models or top models, or what will be the impact on the whole fashion industry? Here also very interesting application for work is, okay, I can't draw myself, so I'm really bad at drawing. I'm terrible. This is an NVIDIA application software where you can just sketch, decide the texture, and then it just generates a photorealistic picture of anything. So for any need you have to content creation in your job, be it training, marketing, anything you need to illustrate, you can use this, and in a couple of seconds you have a nice landscape like this. Also music, but music applied to, for example, advertising. So you can use this AI-generated music that is free, free of copyright. You can use it for any content also. It's all about content creation, actually, and infinite possibilities of synthetic media. like it? Would you listen to this in your iPods? iPod, sorry, I'm not professional. But it could be actually, it could remind us of a movie, thematic, or any this. Okay, and this is also for people in automotive, a very interesting application of AI to redesign something that is a timeless model of Volkswagen. And I'm not sure that Volkswagen designers themselves would have thought of this. Okay, a final application that I want to show, again, still in content creation, is Neon Studio by Samsung. You select your avatar, and you just type in. So you will see it's very easy to use. Select someone, a character. You place everything you need, from emotions to clothes to color to mouth, cheek, and then you type your content, your text, and it also generates voice synthetic from text to speech.
Hello, I'm Sunita, and here's your weather update.
You can use her as a weather forecaster if you want. But you can imagine the numbers of applications that you could deploy in your company, I guess. Okay, the background, this is quite, so this will really be a game changer, I think, in content creation.
Hello, I'm Sunita, and here's your weather update. It's a beautiful day today, clear skies and
okay, so let's go to back to the original question. So can AI be creative? I would say yes. And no, because actually these machines are being creative because the first spark came from a human being. Always, we always need a human being to, because all these examples that we have shown, they were created by systems trained on real human data, real human input. So it's an intermediate conclusion of the presentation to say that AI will not replace, be reassured, the full creative process. It's just a way to, just a tool to support and unleash human creativity. And a human will be always needed to give a meaning to something, to a concept, and to actually put emotion in it. So let's now explain a bit, give a few words about the technology behind it. Very simple, it's simplistic even way to explain. So everything we showed so far is coming from the GANs, okay? Generative Adversarial Networks. It's and synthetic data that is the output of this. They were invented by genius, Jan Goodfellow, in 2014, so it's quite recent. Now the guy is working at Apple as a director of machine learning. That's his title. And so you have two neural networks. The first one is the discriminator. The second one is the generator. Okay, basically the generator is creating new stuff, new images, new data, new sounds, new ideas. The other one is called the discriminator, is trained on real data. Okay, so he's able to look at the output of the generator and determine if it's real or fake. And then it sends a feedback to the generator that learns and understand why it was fake, why it wasn't determined as fake, and then he improves, gets better and better. So the generator at the end is able to produce stuff that is undiscriminable by the discriminator. So the discriminator is unable to recognize if it's real or fake. So these networks, is it clear for everyone? It's quite easy to. It can be any type of data, the output synthetic data. It can be anything. we've seen images, voice designs and stuff. So the example I want to very quickly give you to say, it was not based on GANs, but it's just to illustrate what I said just earlier about the human need, the need for a human spark. Is this the cognitive cooking? You could not imagine that a computer would be able to create a cookbook because cooking is so, you know, far away from computing. But still, IBM in 2015. When I went to New York, I visited the IBM headquarters in New York, and they offered me with this book. And I actually tasted some of the recipes. All of them are a bit weird because, no, but it's good actually, because it's combinations of ingredients that would never have been put together, because all the ingredients are the heritage of culinary cultures, and so you would not imagine a mix of Cuban and Korean food and stuff like that. But the interesting thing is that it's co-creation of the Institute of Culinary Education and IBM Watson, so Chef Watson, the name of the famous AI that was created by IBM and won the Jeopardy game a few years ago. Okay, so that's the picture of the examples, and the question remaining is why now? Why do we need to? Why should we use this, and why do we need this? Oh, sorry. So we said that we need new ideas to new solutions, but why? To solve complex problems that we have generated ourselves. Okay, so we've talked about sustainability a bit earlier in the day. So, you know, climate issues, health issues, social and societal issues also are complex issues that we humans have generated, and we now need more than our own computing power, brain power to solve these problems, because that's what we are here for, right? Design professionals, we are here to solve problems. That's basically the mission statement. So good news is that machines can help us in this mission. New medicine, so the pharma industry is using GANs to, for example, to produce new molecules. I have an example of a breakthrough molecule that could be created in only let me check, a few weeks versus 10 years and $2.6 billion investment. It only costed $150,000 to create this pill, and it was actually solving a disease tested on rats. New materials also. I don't know what's happening, but new materials. Same here. The GANs have been able to solve the Schrödinger equation that is now creating the possibility of various new materials to, for example, to be used in superconductors or in batteries, in stuff like that. And so everything. So this is the new Microsoft flight simulator that you can see here. All these pictures are very realistic, but they do not exist. And this is the way today to learn actually how to fly. You could not, I guess, you could not distinguish from a real, yeah. So you can actually simulate everything. And this is
auto-connecting.
This is the metaverse. Now everybody's talking about the metaverse, right? So the metaverse is at, you know, it's starting now with various uses. So farm simulation, also the Safari. You can do pretty much everything in the metaverse right now. I will not show all the examples, but a few years back, you could not imagine this is just a game, but today also you have metaverses that are not playable at all. They're just, you know, a 3D environment. And this is MetaHumans.
I am MetaHuman.
They are progressing quite quickly. Still, you can tell that they are fake, but but soon you will not be able to make the difference. And so, of course, all this is raising questions. So technology, I'm probably stating the obvious, but technology is not good or bad. It's not neutral. It all depends on what how we use it, and so on. You may see where I'm heading with all these fake, and so I will be a bit talking about deep fakes now, if I still have the time. Let me know. Okay.
Well, every now and then I like to treat myself.
Okay, so I will be skipping a few things, but it's
discipline...
it's the funny part. It's the fun part of deepfakes. Okay. So the Tom Cruise, the deep Tom Cruise, you can find a lot of them on TikTok already, and this is maybe a malicious way to use.
President Trump is a total and complete dipshit.
So it's funny, but it can be used for political manipulation or fraud. There has been also people using faking the voice of a director in a company and stealing $35 million in the United Arab Emirates in early 2020. And it can also be used for good. Okay, so this is the bad use, deepfake porn, and this is. I just want to show this because it's inspiring. It's a very good way to use GANs. Everybody knows Val Kilmer?
We all have the capacity to be creative. We're all driven to share our deepest dreams and ideas with the world. When we think of the most talented creative people, they speak to us in a unique way. A phrase we often hear is having a creative voice. But I was struck by throat cancer. After getting treated, my voice as I knew it was taken away from me. People around me struggle to understand me when I'm talking. But despite all that, I still feel I'm the exact same person. Still the same creative soul. The soul that dreams ideas and stories constantly. But now I can express myself again. I can bring these dreams to you and show you this part of myself once more. A part that was never truly gone, just hiding away.
Okay. So also, you can also regulate things, and you can also influence. We are not prisoners of technology. We can also use law to and make pressure on companies to use smartly and wisely and ethically all these technologies. Same for Dove here. That is also removing the word normal from 200 products. And the choice is yours, of course. If you want to know more, please go to labs.sogeti.com to download the full reports. And I just want to make a small promotion also of this book that is really, really, really good. Take care about the eggs. Real fake. Okay. If you know Amazon.com, the website, you can find it on Amazon. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. That was a great presentation.
I'm
really
so sorry
inspiring. No, that's okay. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions because we have to move on. But I did want to highlight a few things that I found really interesting, that especially Airbnbs and cats can actually be made by AI, which is a great insight for me. It's just also the ethical part of it, and how as designers we can be part of that conversation and shaping of the future. So great presentation. Thank you so much.